The kitchen of Maison du Lys was a cathedral of sound. Pans clanging, knives slicing, fire hissing in precise bursts. And at its pulsing heart stood Vincent Moreau, age 34, head chef, culinary genius, and the face behind the most acclaimed restaurant in the city. But behind that precision lay something festering. Vincent hadn't always been a star. 10 years ago, he was a quiet sous chef in Marseille, with trembling hands and dreams so loud they kept him awake at night. Back then, the name Maison du Lys belonged to someone else, Chef Adrien Belcourt, a legend. Adrien had discovered Vincent, mentored him, even called him a son. But Adrien had also betrayed him. Vincent never forgot the night it happened. A dish they'd created together, Vincent's recipe, his soul on a plate, was unveiled at a Michelin showcase. The applause was deafening. Cameras flashed. But when the credit came, Adrien smiled and took it all. He didn't hesitate. He didn't flinch. And Vincent? He stood in the shadows, a ghost clapping for his own death. Years passed. Adrien died suddenly in an alleged boating accident. The empire passed to his widow, Juliette, graceful, calculating, 36, and once Vincent's lover in another life. She kept Vincent as head chef, smiling in interviews, praising his vision. But beneath that smile was a secret. Adrien's death hadn't been an accident. And Juliette knew it. So did Vincent. Because he was there. He had watched Adrien fall, gasping, from the yacht's deck after a violent confrontation. Vincent hadn't pushed him, but he hadn't reached for him either. And then he buried it all under foie gras and white truffle risotto. But guilt has a flavor. It lingers. It sharpens over time like a well-honed blade. Vincent's nights grew restless. The restaurant's walls whispered. The mirrors in the prep room reflected more than just his face. They showed the man he was trying not to become. Things changed the night Gabriel Rousseau arrived. Gabriel, 28, was the new pastry chef. Quiet, razor-sharp, with a past no one could quite pin down. He admired Vincent obsessively, mimicking his methods, questioning his philosophy. Too much. One evening after service, Gabriel left an envelope in Vincent's locker. Inside, a photograph. Blurry, but unmistakable, Vincent on Adrien's yacht. The timestamp? The night Adrien died. Vincent's heart twisted. Who had taken it? Who had kept it? The next day, Gabriel acted as if nothing had happened. But his eyes said otherwise. Juliette noticed. She always noticed. That evening, she pulled Vincent aside in the wine cellar, her voice low, her hands gloved. "Gabriel's been digging," she whispered. "I warned you not to keep him." "You hired him," Vincent shot back. "I hired a distraction," she hissed. "Not a threat." Vincent realized something then. He wasn't just a chef playing with knives. He was part of a story written in blood and ambition. Days passed. Another photo arrived, this time, a still from a marina security feed. Adrien's yacht. 2 figures boarding. One was Adrien, the other, Vincent. He confronted Gabriel, cornered him in the walk-in fridge. The cold fog curled around them as they stood inches apart. "What do you want?" Vincent demanded. Gabriel's voice was soft, almost sad. "Justice." "For Adrien?" "No," Gabriel said. "For my brother." Vincent froze. "My brother was a kitchen porter. He worked here. He disappeared 6 months before Adrien died. No one cared. No one looked. But I did. I followed the silence, and it led me to you." Vincent's legs went weak. "I didn't." "You didn't kill him," Gabriel said. "But you covered for the man who did." "Juliette." "Of course." The puzzle clicked into place. Juliette had always controlled the kitchen, but the back corridors, the unspoken rules, those were her real domain. Gabriel's brother must have seen something. Something Juliette couldn't afford to let slip. And Vincent? He'd been so wrapped up in his revenge, in reclaiming the empire, that he never asked what price was paid. That night, Vincent returned to the restaurant alone. The chandeliers above the dining room flickered like stars losing hope. He sat at Adrien's old table, pouring wine that tasted like ash. Then Juliette appeared. She was wearing black gloves again. Her voice, a whisper in the candlelight. You're unraveling. Vincent looked up. So are you. I kept you safe, she said. I made you powerful. You made me blind. Juliet sighed. Then go ahead. Burn it all down. But remember, without me, Maison du Lys dies. And with it your legacy. But Vincent didn't answer. He stood slowly, leaving behind his wine and a recorder. She didn't notice until he'd gone. The next morning, Maya Linor, a 30-year-old investigative reporter with a podcast called Beneath the Flame, received an anonymous file. Audio of Juliet confessing to the disappearance. Background details of a hush payout. Security photos. Ledgers showing financial hush money tucked into truffle invoices. The story went viral overnight. Maison du Lys shuddered. Juliet was arrested at dawn, still in her silk robe. Gabriel stood outside the courthouse, eyes blank, justice hollow in his chest. Vincent disappeared for weeks. When he returned, it wasn't to a kitchen. It was to a field kitchen in a village racked by floods. No cameras. No white coats. Just a fire and the hungry. He cooked quietly. He smiled, genuinely, for the first time in years. Not for a star. Not for a critic. But for redemption. Because revenge, he'd learned, doesn't feed the soul. But forgiveness might. 6 months after Juliet's arrest, Vincent Moreau disappeared from the world that once worshipped him. No more fine dining. No press tours. No applause. He found silence in a flood-stricken Spanish village, cooking for survivors beneath rusted tin roofs. It wasn't redemption, but it was something close. Until the past arrived. An envelope appeared under his door. Inside, a photograph of Juliet in prison, smiling. And a note. We're not done. Gabriel Rousseau had returned. But not with peace, he came with truth. Juliet hadn't ordered the porter's death. She covered it up. The real killer? Claude Delmar, Adrian Belcourt's former operations chief. They found him at a long-abandoned culinary retreat, still running a ghost kitchen in the shadows. Claude didn't run. He welcomed them. Then he dropped a final, staggering truth. Adrian had discovered a trafficking and laundering network running through elite restaurants. He'd wanted out. So Claude made sure he never left. And worse, he wasn't acting alone. Antoine Moreau, Vincent's estranged father, was the money behind it all. The same man who disowned Vincent for choosing kitchens over finance had been building empires off blood and silence. The retreat burned that night. But Vincent had the confession on tape. What followed was chaos. Press. Syndicate collapse. Juliet, desperate, sued Vincent from prison, only to lose. But before going silent, she released one last name. His father's. Vincent vanished again. Until a photo surfaced, him, in black, entering a glass tower in Geneva. His father's headquarters. No knives. No chef's coat. Just vengeance.